Hello, my name is Dustin Baum. This will be the midterm video for EDUC 470. Just wanted to start out by saying I've really enjoyed this class. I've really enjoyed all the things I've learned in this. I would say probably my most favorite thing is the thing we just did along with this midterm as that reflection paper. Thinking about all those vocabulary words, stuff like that. Realizing my privilege. It was really just an assignment that I enjoyed, and I think I learned a lot about myself, reading through the identity map, going over that again for the second time, but really thinking about it in a broad, more sophisticated way for that paper. I really enjoyed that, and I thought it was a great thing, and it will help me as I go on in my professional career, as well as I think this class in general has helped me and will help me be a better teacher in the future. Understanding these biases, understanding these privileges, understanding the racism, the structural racism that's going on. It's really interesting, and I hopefully will use this. I know I will, and be a better teacher for it. So we're going to go through all the questions. We'll go through the first three that we have to all answer, and then the last one will be the fourth that I choose. Question one: what is a bar, and how will you incorporate it into your classroom? This is a abbreviation for something that stands anti-bias and anti-racism. A bar, ABAR, anti-bias, anti-racism. This was created by Liz Kleinrock, as I think how you pronounce it, who is basically saying we need, as educators, as people in our country, we need to acknowledge these problems, these biases and racism thoughts that people have day-to-day basis. The one thing that I will say about it, these are touchy subjects, and I think a lot of people in power, and I think a lot of people like to avoid these kinds of conversations. An example I can think of is, you see in sports a lot today, we don't watch sports for politics or stuff like that. Well, blatant racism isn't politics, in my opinion, and there's some of that going on in the professional sports. There's stuff that goes on in that in school. People say, I don't want politics going on at my school. Well, politics has nothing to do with racism, and I think that's something that a bar or even biases sets itself apart. Why people avoid these, because it's becoming a political issue. It's not a political issue. This is just in the grand scheme of things, obviously, but that's why I think that this is a great thing created by Kleinrock in attacking these head on. Biases and racism is different things. I could have a bias against people that wear glasses. That's a bias. Obviously, that would be a lower bias, but it is a bias. Racism, we obviously know what that is, trying to, continuously work to getting rid of the white privilege, so everyone can be equal or, treated the same. And one thing that I think that I could use to get rid of, use a bar in my classroom is, I want a free-flowing classroom where we can talk about things, and I want everyone to feel comfortable. And that's me being as an approachable teacher. That's me having a teacher aide who I think is a good person who maybe could be a help to any student maybe having a problem. But that's also just calling out behaviors of biases and racism. Getting involved with counselors if there may be a serious racist problem, calling the principal, and calling these behaviors and letting them know this is not tolerated at school. In my opinion, I think a lot of times racism is taught, and being a high school teacher, sometimes you can be getting kids that already have these thoughts implemented into their brain, and they're not going to want to change if you say anything, but it doesn't matter. Their racist comments or biased comments or actions hurts the community of a school, hurts the community of a classroom. So it's really important to call out these behaviors, attack these behaviors head on, and work to fix these problems. That's how I plan on using it. I tend to agree with that thought of this isn't a political issue, and if you ask me, racism is not a political issue and shouldn't be avoided because people think it's a politic problem. No, racism isn't have anything to do with politics. You know, so that's something I will implement in my classroom and let people know. All right, going on to question number 2. Explain how you could use identity maps in your classroom to create a safe and accurately represented classroom. I really agree with the fact of not just doing an identity map the first week of school. Especially for high school students, this is something that where students are really just going through the motions. They're doing what the teacher's asking them. They're going on and on and on. They're not really participating. So, one thing that I think would be very important, I'm building a new program here at Elko High School. It's a CTE course called Hospitality and Tourism, where we're learning about hospitality and tourism worldwide. And so a cultural idea to get everyone involved and figure out where people may be from, and it'd be really fun, and if you ask me, is obviously with parent permission to have a 23andMe done for all students in hospitality and tourism to find out where people are from. Obviously, like I said, this is obviously something that could be a touchy subject for some, so it would have to be with parent permission, or else I would just have them guess and find out where they may be from, and just do a little project on it. And then look into different hospitality and tourist practices from maybe where their ancestors were from. And, really get an idea, because there's hospitality and tourism everywhere. Even the small town I live in, Elko, we got gambling. Even we're a small town, people travel here. We got the Ruby Mountains. If you look back throughout history, there's always people that want to travel. There's always ways to get people to want to travel. So that was kind of an idea for me as a project. And, I think you could start it out very easy with an identity map. And then, we'll have classroom conversations about, oh, that's cool, like you're from there, your mom's from here. And then we can build on that with the 23andMe possibly, parent permission, school permission, and then find out where they're from and look into practices of the hospitality and tourist industry, and maybe even find some people whose ancestors or even just grandpa and grandmas worked in these industries, and find out more information about just who you are and your culture, how you may have gotten where you are here today. And I think it's very important for people to understand, their culture right now, but even if I did this project, I feel like I could find out more about myself. And, we might find something really cool. So that's an idea that I have, to just create a safe area, obviously a free-flowing area. We'll start it off with, as I said, identity map, and move it into a project where we really hone in on culture and acceptance of all people. So, all right, we're going to go on to question 3 now. What are 3 tools that you can use to have difficult conversations with your student about race, racism, sexism, classism, ableism, and heterosexism, etc.? The 3 tools that I'm going to use that I've learned from this class, honestly, is the quick check-in method. Secondly, I'm going to use the continue to understand the currency for teens. I really liked that PBS reading we did of the documentary, and especially for me as a high school teacher. And then I'm not going to allow stereotypes, and understand stereotypes. Understanding of these 3 will help with those conversations. A quick check-in. It's very important as a teacher, in my opinion, to have a overall feel for how the day is going. They walk in, they're static. It's important to understand the overall vibe of the entire class, as well as maybe just a specific group or a specific person in the class. You don't want to be having these conversations with students when they are down bad, or they may just seem really off. You may have to, but you might want to do a quick check-in. Wait till the end of class. They ask to go to the bathroom, let them go to the bathroom. Understand that something may be going on, that quick check-in, and then come back to it. ask them a question in front of the class that makes, them feel happy because they're going to know the answer to it, or boost their self-esteem, so then they're a little more approachable for those conversations that you might have to get into these topics. And that quick check-in and using that feel for the day is very important, if you ask me. You don't want to just go straight into something. I'm a younger teacher for the second one. Continue to understand these current trends and crazy stuff they like and like going on. I think it's important as a teacher to keep up with those trends and understand, those trends have nothing to do with, maybe how they feel or racism or stuff, but it does help you relate to them. Talk about them with some students so they feel you're a little more approachable. Have those conversations, those cool conversations, so then it makes the difficult ones a little bit easier. And I really like that PBS documentary we read through the script, because I thought it was just so interesting, and how important it is to, especially like I said, being a high school teacher, understanding, especially nowadays, what these guys got on their hands at all times. These phones, the information they have at all times, it's crazy. And I think it's important for teachers to not just, getting into the stereotype thing that is next. Don't just be that blame teacher, be there for them, don't be too close, obviously, but if they need to talk about something and you want to have those difficult conversations as a class, it's a lot better if they think that they can somewhat relate to you. And then, like I said, the stereotypes. Stereotypes are a part of life. You got jocks, you got, people that smoke cigarettes at lunch. And they get stereotyped, and it's a difficult thing. But I think it's important in your classroom to not allow it. Not allow people to talk about things like that in a rude manner directed at someone. Especially in that classroom environment, if you stand up for your students, as I said earlier, if you act on that stuff and everyone in the class respects you as a teacher, you will run into having these conversations will be a lot easier if they all respect you. And so I think this is an important question, getting into the race and the stuff like that, but mainly these three things can help you have these difficult conversations and make them easier, so that's what I believe. These three tools, understanding of these three tools, will help these conversations become a lot easier. My last question that I'm going to answer: define and explain power, privilege, and oppression in education. My definition for it would be simply, not all students in high schools are treated equally. Some have more power than others, some have more privilege than others, and some are oppressed in certain situations a lot different than others. And I think part of it has to do with all these things we're learning, and then part of it has to do with biases in schools. I can see probably from the beginning of time, whenever this started happening, the quarterback at the high school had more power than most, and I disagree with it. I don't think it's right. The girl that taught us all about what was it, the identity math and stuff, she said best about how African American girls are much more likely to go to the office than white girls. And that's just not right. They're oppressed in that situation. I think minorities in certain instances, especially in high schools, they are more oppressed in their treatment for boys and girls. Minority are oppressed more. They're sent to the office faster. They're given less chances. It's a proven fact. There's statistics to back it up. They're more likely to get sent to the office. And that has to do with a ton of different things. I think the job as us as educators, and the job as schools in general, is to try and cut these biases, cut these why should anyone have more power than the next person? In my opinion, you should treat everyone how you like to be treated, and everyone should be on an equal playing field. It doesn't matter if you're the star quarterback or you're the transgender girl who's new to school. You should have an equal opportunity to learn, equal opportunity to play sports, join clubs, everything. I see it in high school all the time. It's a very difficult situation. It's a very difficult thing, to push through. But I think us as young teachers, we can make a change in this. So I think classes like this, questions like this, exploring these tough subjects is very important. And that is my midterm.